Hello and welcome to Finextra. I'm Emily Horler and I'm here with Kevin Poe of CGI. And we're talking about the CGI Global 1000 Voice of Our Clients programme. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Emily.
So can you tell me a bit about the programme and what the overall findings were?
Yes, every year at CGI we go out and speak to our clients face-to-face. We do face-to-face in-depth interviews with clients across all of our industries to understand their challenges. This year we hit a big milestone. It's not only our 40th anniversary, but also we hit the milestone of 1,000 clients globally that we spoke to with respect to what their challenges are. And we saw big themes across the industries, and particularly some that I'll talk in more detail about retail banking. Across all industries, three of the themes that we saw. One is around just digital consumers. So the consumers are moving from thinking about digital as part of their experience to really thinking digital first. And that's really a big theme we see across industries. Obviously plays out a great deal in retail banking. A second theme is around business models are changing. We see these industry models are really under great pressure from different forces, and we see that in banking especially. And a third piece is around the role of technology. So technology has been historically more of an enabler of change, and now it's becoming more of a driver of change.
And what do the findings tell us about how retail banking is changing?
Yeah, well, first thing is just the business models are changing. So we see that the forces that are affecting the industry coming in, those forces of digitization, of really culminating in a transformation of the business model. And banks are having to decide what role are they going to play in the business model. Do they want to continue to be an end-to-end player where they own the customer relationship? Do they want to be a product specialist? Do they want to own the product, or do they want to outsource that? So there's a lot of decisions to be made by banks, and all these forces are really coming together and forcing decisions to be made now.
And what strategic decisions would you say established banks are making in response to this change?
Yeah, so with respect to the business model, they're having to decide back to this point of, are they going to be product owners, or they're going to look to partners? And with the role of competition, so fintech is a huge theme that we see in our research. And the fintech competition coming in is an enormous potential change. So banks are deciding, do we want to own those products, continue to own them, or do we want to look outside and look at fintech partners potentially to bring them in as a product provider? They're also having to decide, do they want to be a utility service? Do they want to provide their infrastructure and their services to others, perhaps enabling fintech players to reach different customers, but they become more of a utility provider? And then thirdly, you see more specialists emerging on the market, where they might want to be a specialist in the market, but they get their product to customers globally, not just through their own distribution channels. So a lot of decisions to be made.
So what are they practically doing in order to get there?
Yeah, there's a few things. One is responding to consumers. So the consumer demands that are increasing for digital, straight-through processing, seamless experiences. That's forcing banks to move beyond just the veneer, the sort of pretty face of banking and the online and digital experience, to really say, how do they transform the end-to-end? So bringing in automation, robotics, or just redoing the whole process to actually create more of a seamless experience for customers. That's one. A second one is legacy modernization. So something that banks have not wanted to do for many years, to attack the legacy infrastructure. And they're increasingly being forced to do so, to either decide whether they can winnow it down, reduce the cost, and reduce its impact that holds them back, or actually more radically do a core transformation, because it will enable them to better compete and better to meet customer needs. And a third one is partnerships. As I mentioned before, there's a role that fintechs can play. We recently completed a primary research project ourselves, looking at what consumers think about fintech. And the real story of that is around partnerships, that banks and fintechs need each other. And so there's a partnership opportunity for banks to come together within that and to bring those partnerships. And one last thing I'll mention for banks, again, this is what we've seen in our primary research, is that customers are really concerned about the threats that face them every day. And so security is no longer a nice to have or just a good thing to do. It's actually potentially a competitive advantage, particularly for banks. So banks investing in stronger security, stronger threat aversion and fraud detection, things like that, will really help potentially create a competitive advantage for them in the marketplace.
Kevin, thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily.
And thank you for watching.